Can we all settle down? We're about starting right now. Good morning, everybody. Come on, the energy is so low. Good morning, everybody. We had breakfast this morning, so high energy. It's going to be like 6 hours, so let's bring up high energy. My name is Fikun, and welcome to Beyond Me Fellowship for Founders. Can you hear the excitement? So low. Can you do another one? Welcome to Beyond Me Fellowship for Founders. Nice one. I just want you to meet the project team, the program team, and I'm going to bring up the host, Dr. Juliet, for the opening remark. We have Lillian here, is part of our team. Lillian also works with Dr. Juliet as an executive assistant, and Dolatika is also here as part of our team member. My name is Fikun. I manage the entrepreneurship program, and our founder, Dr. Juliet, is also here in the room. Before I share with you the program brief, what to expect in the next 12 weeks, I want you all to welcome Dr. Juliet for the opening remark and welcome address.
Thank you, Fikun. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good to be here and good to see you all. Have you had a good week so far? What's today? Friday. So it's the end of the week. For entrepreneurs, there's no Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no difference. It's good to have you here. We believe very strongly in the contribution of startups, entrepreneurship to economic development. We have a lot of stories of pride from Nigeria, from our entrepreneurs. I'm certainly one of those that when I have an opportunity to speak anywhere, I make a lot of noise about the entrepreneurial spirit in Nigeria, some of the great success stories we're having, the unicorns, the growth stories, the solutions in different spaces, from health tech to agri-tech to e-commerce, payments, fintech, logistics, and so on and so forth. The work that you're doing is very important in any society. Entrepreneurship is the bedrock of job creation, of economic development. So what you're doing is very important, and that's why it really gives me a lot of joy to be able to run this fellowship for founders and leaders of startups. So some of you know me from my past life. I was director for Google West Africa for 12 years. And as part of that, we started... Thank you. And as part of that, we started the Google for Startups program. It was a program that was run out of Silicon Valley. We brought it to Africa, run out of Nigeria. And interestingly, our first cohort, that cohort actually did go to Silicon Valley. It was the year just before we brought it to be based in Nigeria so that more startups can benefit. But we had 6 startups that we took to Silicon Valley at the start. And some of the unicorns we have today were among the first cohort. So Andela and Paystack were actually part of that first cohort that went to. So, it's a real story of pride. However, having said that, credit to the leaders of those organizations, because you can have people in the same room, getting the same training, the same coaching, but they use it differently. So the fact that they attended the program, yes, it's good, but there are other people that would have the same opportunity and do nothing with it. There are some people that you get funding from, for startups, the first set of funds come from, what we say FFF, friends, family. I don't like to say fools. Let's just say friends and family, right? Some people make good on that, and some people don't, right? The same thing with this experience today. This is a great experience. We're going to be sharing a lot of insights with you. You're going to have other speakers come. These are tried and tested leaders in the space. You've seen the flyer, so you've all seen the flyer, right? You've seen some of the resource persons. Not all of them are on the flyer. There are some as well that you will be meeting that are not on the flyer, but it's a rich, exchange of information that you're going to be having over the course of 12 weeks. And some of you will make gold with that. Some of you will make diamond. Some people, hopefully, at least at the minimum, you'll make silver out of that. So welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. And I hope my commitment and the commitment of the team is that we offer a positive and enriching experience. I don't take it lightly. I mean, my time is precious. Your time is precious, right? We're not here just to faff around. We're here because there's something important at stake. What's important, what's at stake is your business, the future that you're building. And together, we want to try and support you in accelerating that growth and also in developing yourselves as leaders within the organization. Sound good? Yes. Fantastic. So I'll come back shortly, but I'm going to hand back to Fikun to talk you through what these 12 weeks are going to look like and what to expect.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. G. Awesome. So I'm going to share briefly on the agenda for the next 12 weeks. There is a unique twist to Beyond Limit Fellowship. And one of the cornerstones that we build this fellowship on is that you as a leader, to build a scalable business, you have to have some certain level of competencies and the way you think. There are businesses that after their probably say things start falling apart. Because the founders, they are not built to build that level of scalable business. Does that make sense? So leadership is one of our core. And it's very unique the way we do it. We're focusing on you because if you have that capacity, you can lead people and build business legacy. The other thing we're covering in this conversation, 12 weeks, is the workshop, there will be a masterclass around this product. Most of you are probably familiar with, right? Product development. Yes. Product development, product marketing, people and culture management, funding, finance, financial management. How do you run lean? How do you maximize resources? And digital innovation and operational excellence. Most businesses are operational tech, and you have to find a way to maximize resources and see the efficiency. So this will be the annual mentorship session. So you have an opportunity to interact with people using flyers, and like you can make it go in the sense that some people they took advantage of those relationships last year. They deal on it and they evolve beyond the fellowship. It's how you show up. So you think strategically, okay, this individual probably brings a lot of value to my business, and I want to ensure that my 2 hours group sessions with this individual, I want to maximize it. I want to make it gold. Sometimes it's not just money. I think sometimes the least impact you get from these amazing resource people, it's not just the money, it's the equity they bring, it's the brand, it's the validation, it's the counsel. And sometimes from previous course, you think like sometimes you want people to fund you, probably you want to have them even for advice first. You want to show that level of, you're taking ownership of how you want to grow. You're not just pitching money to them. You really want to carry them. Probably 1 or 2 years, these guys have been there for you. They're giving you counsel. They're there with you. And then when you eventually ask for money, there's a level of trust, so you're not pitching. So I know everybody wants to raise funds. I'm saying when we bring this investor into the room, I think what you want to do is find a way to get some intangible value from them and build some solid relationship. Again, if you can make it go, that would be great. So the masterclass. There will be also access to resource tools. So we'll be opening opportunities for people to participate in the resource tools. So towards the end of this program, there will be more like a incubation, like more like hackathons resource, right? You can put in your application. And we're not giving out money, we're giving resource tools. So the winners from those engagements will have opportunity for resource tools, courtesy of our partner, US consulates. So because you're not happy, resource tools, that are very valuable. You guys spend a lot of money on different subscriptions, right? Yeah, maybe you are hosting something, you have some services that are strategic. So the value of what we begin with the matching that. So we may not be able to catch, but the valuable resource that support your business, given where you are, if you're part of the finalists in those exercises. But again, some people are at different levels. Some of you say, I'm bigger than $5,000, so resource. So I can pass on that. That's fine. So it's not compulsory you participate, but for those who want to gain access to those resources, we'll make it a bit fair, ensure that they pitch and they probably a partner judge, and then they can select those people and give them those equivalent resources of the money. Does that make sense? Yes, as part of the program package. There will be a lot of peer-to-peer learning. Amazing. Last year, you see people just come into the room and you as a founder, you're struggling with something, and you have the opportunity to share with the other person. They have different mental models of that solution. So there's a top-down learning from these guys, but they also kept the learning. We have this expectation that there will be a valuable and strong, useful fun among you all. 12 weeks is a long time, You guys probably have seen that the minimum of once in a week So I want you all to see other funders as access to resource opportunity, and you can support each other. So we are not just gunning just for the top-down relationship. We want to value that because something you're struggling with, other people are having business. Just how they do. And sometimes you look at the market, it's big enough, so you want to do that level of support and mentorship. People will talk about. Oh no, it's going to be a hybrid of in-person and virtual. So we're going to have virtual in-person session for once in 2 weeks, and those in between one the virtual session. We're going to walk you through what's good. So today we're starting from here. We're having the launch ceremony, and shortly we'll be having 2 sessions from 2 resource persons, Dr. Juliet and another resource person that will be coming later after our long break. And the sessions will be more of a masterclass and a bit of workshop today. Then next week we're going to have another session online for 2-3 hours. That online session will be a workshop with the same. We're continuing the same leadership. We're going deeper. So does that make sense? So yeah. Then we come in person for product marketing and development again. Then we push that same concept further virtually because we want to go deeper on this same trajectory. Similar for week 5 and week 6, the same pattern. Now when we get to week 7, we're going to have funding and finance. Then we start mentorship sessions. So these virtual sessions will be mentorship for week 8, where you have opportunity to be in group, and you have time to spend about 2 hours with a mentor, and you have opportunity to ask questions. But before this session, we ask you to prepare your mentorship brief. What are your top 3 pain points you want this guy to do? So imagine you're having opportunity to have conversation with Owen that run a textile Nigeria. Now, you know you're going to have a conversation with her or probably another resource person, maybe Shola or any other people you've seen on the flyer, right? You have to name that, okay, these are the kind of questions you'd like to ask. These are the areas. So we're going to give you a form before we fill that. So you're not thinking on the spot. You have your thought form. These are my top ones. So when you have your slot, because we will allow, even if it's 2 hours session, you can have like a 5 people or 6 people on the call on that. You guys at least 15 to 20 minutes to have that direct conversation with the person. So that makes sense. But because we're all on the same call, I might be the one asking questions, but you are learning from that. You are learning from that. So it's more valuable sometimes than just one-on-one, just for you. And you also manage that. It's an efficient way to add value to a lot of people. Yeah. So that's how it's going to happen. Week 8, week 9, we're coming back to wrap up curriculum, which is going to be digital innovation and operational excellence. Then mentorship sessions. Then we're going to have the demo day and more closing. So the people that decided to jump on the application, get this resource, they pitch it and talk people they get it. We're going to discuss how they have access to those resources. And then we're going to give you certification or the paparazzi, brand equity. By that time, everybody's like cloud 9, ready to go crunch when I go. And then the virtual session, community. Again, community is a very strong part of this value we're adding to this ecosystem. Because in this room, there are companies that will become $100 million, $1 billion, So the relationship and the alumni community is very, very vital. Awesome. I want you all to be happy and celebrate yourself with a random clap. Make it. So we received 536 applications shortlisted to top 30. So 5.6%. You should be proud. Can you celebrate yourself? One more. Yes. And then we have all the startups in the room. So we're going to go through sector by sector. So if we are in your sector, I'm going to call you guys. I would just want you to stand up, and signify so you are in the room. We're going to start with the fintech as usual. They're always the corporate. Fintech guys, you're in the room. You're on this on the fintech. You're selected. I want you guys to stand up and signify. Guys, you can't be shy. For God's sake, you can't be shy. Celebrate them, guys. Celebrate them. When we start the session, when you want to ask questions, you take the opportunity to introduce yourself. Does that make sense? Because we have a lot of 30 people, so I won't say you guys introduce yourself, but we know the fintech guys. You can look around, these are the fintech guys. Make sure you build them before they leave, Awesome. So, mobility. You guys, you can sit down. Thank you. Mobility guys, can you celebrate them? With just 3 people. Mobility. Awesome. Agritech. Wow. Agritech here, guys. Celebrate Agritech. Supply chain. Awesome. Supply chain. Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. Wow, interesting. Celebrate. Guys, we'll be celebrating throughout today, so bring it on. Okay, construction. Yeah, construction. Marketing. ZD Africa. ZD Africa's. Okay, hospitality and lifestyle in the room. Awesome. Waste tech. Waste tech. Wow, back up. E-commerce. E-commerce, guys. Oh, nice. Awesome. EdTech. Another corporate. Wow, a lot of EdTech. 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 Celebrate EdTech. Awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. Again, you have to be proud. You have to be, you made it through out of that 500 plus people. So a lot of things are going right for you guys. And with this program, we take it to the notch higher. So today's agenda, we are running a bit behind schedule, but we're going to make it for that, find a way around it. So very soon I'm bringing Dr. Juliet to start this session, the first session. There's going to be a masterclass and a bit of workshop. It could overlap, but that's going to be the flow. Then in between, this is more of your concession. You can decide to go for break, or it's just going to be 2 hours structure, depending on what you can, based on how the session is going. Then we're going to go for a lunch break downstairs, come back for another masterclass on leadership and some work and a workshop, and then we're going to wrap it up with closing remark and opportunity for networking. So we are targeting 3:45. We are out of this building. Does that make sense? Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Juliet for her session on leadership. Can you take it higher?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Biko. And so this is, we're running this in partnership with the US Consulate. We're excited about that. And they have offered this space, this American Corners. It's a great room, but it's also an interesting setup. These pillars are getting in the way a little bit. So just make sure that where you're sitting, you're comfortable and you can see what's happening here properly. So there's space over there and here as well. Just make sure that we maximize the space. The good thing about it is it's got some great spaces for breakout discussions and all, which will be useful to us. And if at any point in time you can't hear very clearly from the back or something, please just indicate. We want to make sure that everyone is as engaged as possible. And our goal would be to always start on time. Today, the intention was to do the teas and coffees and start at 10, which we did. So let's always make it on time. Well done to everyone who got here on time. And there'll be some videos as well. If you come in early, there'll be some useful videos that would be playing, while we, before we start. So that can be helpful as well. Some of you were part of the Zecathon we ran recently with Zenith Bank. That also went very well. So as part of this, and you'll be hearing more about that later, you'll be, following this, you'll become part of our alumni network and will have the benefit of different, offerings, opportunities, information, activities, etc., that will be, bringing your way. So that's a good thing as well. Our friends from the US Consulate will be popping in now and then, but certainly during the closing ceremony, the final day, we'll have a team from the consulate join us to meet with you as well. Okay. Any questions so far? We've been doing all the talking. I'm going to get you to talk now. So, what do you think this number is? Ah, yes, please. Exactly. Exactly. That is actually very, very on point. Do you think you'll be one of these now? Part of the 80%? No. Now, how many of you are 5 years old? Okay, well done. You've crossed that bridge. So this is a stat that we don't like. And part of this is to make sure this doesn't happen. There are lots of resources, there's support, etc. To just make sure that because the startup journey is not an easy one. There are challenges. Let's not even talk about the macroeconomic challenges internally as well with your teams, etc. So we have to make sure that this does not become a reality for you, that you're not part of this number. Okay. Yes, so only 1 in 5 succeed, and that's not good enough. So there's been a lot of research into this, that why is this the case? And this is the result of a study of almost 1,000 venture capitalists around the world by a team from Harvard, Stanford, and University of Chicago, to say what are the most important factors contributing to the failure of startups. Are you surprised by this? Yes and no. So some people would think, oh, maybe it's the business model, right? That maybe your business model wasn't good enough, so you didn't really make money, etc. Or the industry conditions or the macroeconomic conditions. Yeah, those are important, but it's interesting that 55% actually came down to the management team, which is why it's important that when we do programs like this, we invite the leadership team, the founders, co-founders, leaders within the organization, because you play a very important role. For a startup, a lot of things mirror the founders or the leaders. So you play a very important role. And according to the gentleman at Sequoia, engineering is easy. People are hard. Someone was talking about, with artificial intelligence now, there's a lot of conversation around the risks, ethics, and so on. And Mo Gaudat, some of you may have heard him speak. He was my colleague at Google. He was running Google X. He's one of those, he's no longer at Google. He's one of those really, championing conversations about the fact that we need to regulate AI and make sure that the machines are not used, because they're very powerful, right? That they're not used for things that are not for the good of humanity. And he said, in one of his interviews, he said, I love the machines. The machines are not the problem. The problem, the people programming those machines, right? It's not the machine. They do what you ask them to do. It is the people feeding the machines. So yeah, we know people are, we love people, but people can be challenging. And so, so great individuals make up great organizations, and we're all, looking to develop great organizations, and it starts with leadership. Now, what we've done, we've conducted doctoral level research, surveyed over 200 startups in Africa. And we've had conversations as well with founders, with leading entrepreneurs, with some unicorns, to just understand, what attributes exist in leaders when we see sustainable success. And our benchmark was beyond 5 years, right? So the startups that we interviewed, we looked at quite a number that have succeeded beyond 5 years. And based on that, we created this framework, our leadership and excellence framework for founders. And it's really, there are 3 buckets that we found to be very important. One is just self-direction. And when we talk about leadership this morning, a lot of it would be from a personal perspective. That also influences your team, and we'll be talking about your teams. And this afternoon, there'll be some conversations about teamwork, etc. However, what I want to focus on is you as a leader, your own personal capacity. And so self-direction, self-leadership, and self-efficacy. These are 3 buckets that break out into the various sub-bullets that we found that are very important when you see sustainability and leaders that are able to drive that. And we'll be touching on those today. But before we get into that, I want to hear from you guys what leadership means to you. You've had leaders in the course of your career in different phases and segments of life. And, who are some of the leaders that you admire? What traits do you see in them, and what do they have in common? So I'll just ask you to speak to the person beside you for a couple of minutes, and then we can just invite a couple of people to share their thoughts. So if you just take a couple of minutes, it's easy for people on this side because they're just two to see. But on this side, maybe three of you can actually have the conversation. I'll give you an extra minute. All right. Okay, so good to see the engaged conversation. If we just come back to the room, thank you so much. So who would love to share? I see you guys are. Yes, please.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And I just had an amazing chat with Juliet and Mustafa.
Fantastic.
All right. So,
does she need a microphone?
No. Thank you. Okay. So, during our discussion, we're able to conclude that a leader is someone who has the vision, who gets the vision, has the blueprint. Then a leader is also someone who inspires other people around him to be able to achieve that vision that he has. And one trait we talked about is resilience. A leader must be ready to be dogged because you're going to meet roadblocks. You're going to meet very crazy stuff on the road. And then you're going to cry, but you must be ready to bounce back to your feet and say, no, this is what it's going to be, and ensure that what you're doing, that venture, that enterprise, whatever it is, doesn't fail.
Perfect. Please let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Who else wants to share? Yes, please.
I think just not to say what she has already said. The thing that we spoke about that I think is important to share is a leader is somebody that's a big thinker. You need to be able to think bigger than the people on the team if not they have no reason to follow you. The other thing is empathy will be key. Because if you don't understand people, then it's hard for them to follow you. And it brings me to something I was talking to somebody about recently when the person said, "Where is my help, please?" And I'm like, I was not do anything to say, because what differentiates us as leaders is the ease with which we embrace the storm, not that the fact the storm will not come. I thought that was just useful to share.
Thank you so much. That's a very important distinction. The ease with which we embrace the storm. Absolutely. I'll take one more. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So one of the things we talked about, one of the things that make us actually some leaders is their ability to find resources and leverage those resources, as well as people. They can find people who they know they can work with and can achieve that vision together.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Can we celebrate him? Yes. All great points. Thank you so much. And it was good to see the discussion. So, a lot of the things that you guys talked about are really present here and also in the framework that we're going to be going through. As a leader, you are motivating a group of people toward achieving a common goal. So we've had conversations around your vision, being a big thinker, being able to inspire people by what you say and what you do. And an element of leadership that we will also focus on is self-leadership, which is leadership starts with self. Just as charity begins at home. You can't give what you don't have. And so it's important that you look at your own development. And that self-leadership is the art of moving yourself from where you are now to where you desire to be, which is usually in line with your vision and your goals. Some people are really good at that, and you notice them and admire them. You see there are certain people, when they set their minds to something, they say, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to achieve this. There's a certain discipline, there's a way they're able to mobilize themselves, maybe even get help from other people because nobody is an island, and they get it done. And there are some people that will talk from today to tomorrow, right? But they just won't move. And that's a huge difference. And so that self-leadership makes a difference and also translates into your ability to lead others. And so coming back to our framework, these three buckets really encapsulate a lot of the attributes that leaders should have. Self-direction is everything we just talked about, having clarity of vision and purpose that then ignites the organization. And we'll deep dive into that shortly. Self-leadership, this is where we're talking about mobilizing yourself, being able to do things. Somebody talked about finding resources. That's captaincy, being able to, bring together everything that is required to get things done, to execute on a very clear plan. And then self-efficacy, right? This is about your belief in your capabilities, right? Somebody talked about resilience and also year of ease. When we say response, that's what that's talking about. How you respond to situations. Do they just discourage you, weigh you down, or are you able to rise above them? So, and then mastery, because that builds your confidence. What are the ways you build your own capacity? How do you get feedback? Because some people are not self-aware at all. Self-awareness is an important part of leadership, and that's baked in there, right? What impact are you having on your team and the people around you? Maybe you'll just keep repeating the same excuses, or you micromanage the heck out of everything, and the people around you are like, for goodness sake, can you just let us be? Let us execute, right? Some of us are our own worst enemies. And we'll come to that. So these are all elements. Introspection, that's also an important part of, self-reflection and awareness. So all these things really speak to attributes of leadership. And we're going to zoom in to the parts that are in bold. We'll touch on the parts grayed out in the course of the 12 weeks. But for this morning, I'm going to talk specifically about the parts that are very in bold. Starting with self-direction. Now, how this framework, another way to explain this framework, self-direction is about, when we talk about purpose and vision, it's about the what and the why. What is it that you're trying to achieve, and why is that important to you? To be able to create a path for yourself. Where do you want to go? What's that North Star? And then self-leadership, self-efficacy, they're about the how, the ability to mobilize yourself, how you respond to things, etc. So today we're going to talk, so the first place we're going to go is self-direction. And it's self-explanatory, right? It's your capacity to act independently without needing to be told, right? And that's aided by a clear awareness of what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and why it needs to be done, which is really speaking to the what, which is your vision, and the why, which is a sense of purpose. Why is this important? What's fueling you? What's actually driving you? Now, the word vision gets used a lot. I'm sure you come across a lot of definitions of vision. Organizations have vision, mission, purpose, everything. For some people, it's an academic exercise. We're about to go for our fundraising round. We have to have a compelling vision to impress the investors. On our website, we have to have a vision and a mission. So for some, it's an academic exercise. For some, it's a waste of time. Like, what's all this? These are just like new age, airy-fairy. The business model, yes, let's talk about that. We need to get results. We need to make money. So why are we bothering about vision? So everything starts with a vision, really. If you see a building, it started with an image in someone's mind, perhaps the architect, which they then drew on paper or on a computer, and that was then built. And so everything always starts with an image in mind. And as an entrepreneur or a leader within a startup, it's important that you think about what is that picture for you, right? What is it that you are building? It may be something that doesn't exist currently or an enhancement on what it already exists. But what is it? Why are you going to work every morning doing this? What is it about? What is Learn Pali about? Yeah, that got their attention. what is Outcutstruck about? You know, why are we doing this? And it's the driving force behind every successful entrepreneur. And so, on a personal level, to think about what type of business are you building? Is it one that will stand the test of time, go beyond 5 years? Is it a household name? What sort of environment are you looking at? Creating an innovative culture where people can think out of the box and make things happen? A firm of excellence and impact, or one where we can cut corners and just, as long as we're getting by. And you as a person, what type of leader do you want to be for your team? For your partners, what do they say about you that, oh, once I get this person's word, I'm good to go. Even before the contract is signed, I know that if this person says it, he'll go the extra mile to make sure it happens. For your investors, for your customers, do you put the customer first? Do you think about making sure that the customer is delighted, is satisfied, and for the society? Because at the end of the day, we're all responsible members of society, right? And what we do impacts society, and we should think about that as well. What is the value that we're adding? So, I mentioned that vision and mission those words, they get used a lot. Sometimes there's confusion. What's vision? What's mission? What's purpose? Etc. So this is an attempt to provide some clarity around those terms. The vision is really the what. It's a picture of what you're building. Basically, that's what. It's that image in your mind about what you're trying to build. We want to build the best e-commerce platform that enables people from across the world to engage and consume products from Nigeria. And then the how and the why are the mission and purpose there. It's usually, when people are thinking about it personally, they would say purpose. When they're thinking about it from the perspective of an organization, they would usually say mission. Most of the time, it captures the how or the why, right? Or both. Again, is this all important? Is there anything beyond just having a nice sounding thing? Is there merit to a vision? What's in a vision anyway? Why do we need to talk about it? How many people are familiar with Blockbuster? Yes. At a point in time, they were the it when it came to film and videos. It was all about video rentals, right? You would go to a Blockbuster shop and you'll be able to rent all kinds of videos, right? VHS tapes, mostly. And their vision was to be the global leader in rentable home entertainment by providing outstanding service, selection, convenience, and value. So when you walk into a Blockbuster shop, you get the broad selection, right? You get good service. They attend to you quite well. And for them, in their minds, it's about renting home entertainment. So that was their vision. Now, and in Nigeria, home video clubs is that's the translation of that. And then years later, a company came along and said, actually, we want to do things slightly differently. Our vision is to be the best global entertainment distribution service. Why do people have to go to the Blockbuster shop to rent a video? Let's bring the entertainment to you at home. When they first went to Blockbuster, because they were looking for funding, it was a startup. They were looking for funding. They went to Blockbuster and they were laughed out of the Blockbuster building. In fact, the CEO of Blockbuster then said, and I quote, they would crash and burn. That what kind of ridiculous idea is this? Sending entertainment to people at home. So for Netflix, they were saying, they started out mailing these DVDs, right? To people at home. But they saw themselves beyond that. It was about providing entertainment. It wasn't about sending you DVDs. Their vision transcended that. Their vision was about making sure you had, from the comfort of your home, great entertainment. And seeing themselves in that way helped them to transcend challenges of time. As technology evolved, so initially it was VHS tapes, then it was DVDs. DVDs were great, they were lighter, so sending those DVDs at home. You would subscribe, they would send you DVDs. So you subscribe in a month, and you can get as many DVDs as you want. After watching, you send it back. That was the model. But it wasn't about the distribution, it was about getting you entertainment. Therefore, as technology evolved and streaming became a thing, they just moved on to streaming. They did not have any challenges internally making that transition, because that's how they saw themselves. We will bring entertainment to you. It doesn't matter if it is by posting a DVD or if it is by streaming a service. But even beyond that, if we're bringing entertainment to you, it doesn't matter if we partner with people to bring the entertainment or we create our own. And so they started own movies, right? The beauty of their model as well was that they were able to get data about what was most popular, what are people watching. So they had the power of data at their fingertips. And they used that data to decide if we're going to create our own content, what should we focus on? What are people interested in? A few years after Blockbuster became history, in fact, there are no Blockbuster, it doesn't exist anymore. There's only one Blockbuster shop in the US, and it's a museum. The business itself has died, but on the contrary, Netflix is just, you know the story. Some of you probably watched Netflix this morning as you were getting ready. You know the story. But that's the power of the vision, how they saw themselves. These guys could not pivot because their vision was this. And they did, they did well for what their vision was. They did well. But that's how they saw themselves, and that's how Netflix saw itself. That's in the entertainment industry. Let's come to tech. A tale of two platforms, Yahoo and Google. Now, Yahoo started before Google. Yahoo started in fact, it did its first valuation in about 2000. Google did not exist back then. Very similar platforms. They both started out essentially as search engines, right? Now, initially, in the early years, Yahoo's mission was to provide a comprehensive directory of websites to help users navigate the early internet. And their vision was to become a leading internet directory that would help people find and explore the web easily. Their mission and vision statements have changed. They've gone through some iterations over the years. But you get a sense, even in the transition, you get a sense of lack of clarity and then trying to be all things to all men, right? But Google had a very clear vision and focus to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And of course, when it started, it was about doing that through the search engine. That was its primary focus, right? So in 2005, Yahoo was worth 44 billion. So in 2000, it was worth the valuation 128 billion. It went down to 48 billion. Some of that was as a result of the dot-com bust, right? At that point, Google was valued at 114 billion. Today, Yahoo's valuation is 30 billion. So it has come down further. In contrast, today, Google's valuation is 2 trillion. You can see the difference, right? But they started out the same way. What was different was how they saw themselves. And of course, having said this, it doesn't mean you get a great vision and that is it. That's not what we're saying, that your work is done. There's an assumption here that you're able to execute. You have all the other things in place, right? And with that, what role does a clear vision play? So it's not to say you can't execute, you have a great vision and that's it. No, you need a good strategy. You need a plan. All the other elements are important. But this is also just talking about, the identity. There's a reason you're doing what you're doing. Yes, you want to make money. But that cannot be the goal. If you have a very clear goal that is something that matters to you, something that is value adding, money generation will happen. But you can't make money generation the goal. I know there is a reality around subsistence. We're all trying to hustle, there's hustle, there's survival, etc. in Nigeria. But that cannot be the reason for your being. It will happen if you actually focus on the core, which is what value are you putting out there? What are you creating? For the first few years, Google did not monetize. It just focused, it had a singular focus on building the best search engine out there. It invested in infrastructure, it invested in the best people and all of that. Once it got that, as soon as it turned on its monetization engine, it went through the roof. And, from the perspective of being all things to all men, when you look at Yahoo's homepage, you can see there's a lot going on. And then when you look at Google, you can see that singular focus. Yes, there's a question at the back. Hi. Please say who you are, your organization, and then your comment or question.
Okay, hi everyone, good morning.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Jenny, and I'm the CEO and founder of Claudia. So I just wanted to touch on something that you said about Google's success. They decided that they were going to focus on building the product, making sure they had a great experience for their end users. And I wonder, how does that translate to Nigerian startups today? I feel like we are not given the grace to truly build what matters. There is this emphasis to the very beginning. What revenue are you making? And we're still in a market that is changing, iterating. And I'm just wondering how this is great, for Google, but how does that apply to us who have even limited resources, who actually want to build and provide a lot of value to customers, but we don't have that same opportunity. We're not given that same grace to do that, and then the money comes. So, that was my thought.
Very good question. I think the person beside you wants to say something.
Yeah, thank you. I was actually murmuring my co-founder here when you're saying that. I think it's a part of it. Just yesterday, we were having a very good conversation with an investor, and the question was, why have you made this money in year one and this in year two? So I'm wondering, and I'm asking myself, you guys want us as a startup of 2-3 years, make trillions, billions of naira? Now, the question, and I said something to him. I said, you know the Chinese language that says, if you want to build success, you need to build a bridge. Look at the African countries that they actually know infrastructure. So startups are coming without infrastructure. And they are seeing the vision, they are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but they need to build infrastructure. And I have this question. If you are the CEO of Uber, and you see that you want to come to the Nigerian market of over 2 million people that need massive transportation, and you get to Nigeria and you see that the Nigerian people are riding on ox and donkeys, are you going to pack your things and just leave Nigeria? I said the answer is no. They're going to say, okay, how do we navigate around this? So now say, okay, you know what, let's introduce vehicle to Nigeria and take those markets. So I think if this ecosystem investor is also understanding that not just startup, also infrastructure matters, and we can build a system that can work for everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Any other comments?
Apologies. I also wanted to add this. We came out in 2021. 2021 till 2023, we're operating on premium. And you know what? We're using that to understand the ecosystem, to gather data so that we can rebuild and understand. And now, by this month, we're launching the new third version of where we think, okay, this is truly an understanding of this product. There are no products before us that we can copy and say, okay. But so you see most of the startups here, they are first of its kind. You understand? Of course, sorry, you can always copy. But health tech, Wasted? No, you have nobody you're copying. You are really beautiful. And it takes it all. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the conversation. Yes, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Uzo. Okay, alright. My name is Uzo. I'm the fintech space, Apex Seminar. So it was great that we're talking about that because for us in the fintech space, you can't do anything without your license. And so it would be great to touch on that as well. How do we even? So for us now, we have partners that we could work with. But all of a sudden, Simeon says, "No, you're a fintech. You shouldn't work with a partner. Go, build your own product." Okay, I'm building my product, but I can't get to market. I can't speak to FIs or financial institutions because they're like, "Oh, we can't work with you because you don't have your license." And so we're like this, catch-22. And investors, like, "Oh, so like you said, how much are you making?" Well, how are we going to make the money because I can't get to the banks to give me, access to their, APIs because I don't have my license. So it would be great to see how can we even get investors to, trust us because we're trying to get this. But thank you for bringing that up. It's very important.
That's the good thing about speaking. Most times when you speak, you're actually speaking the minds of other people. So, and that's why we encourage for this to be interactive. Yes. Oh, to be? I thought you were guys the same way. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is John David. So I learned Spanish, EdTech. So what I learned from what everybody else said, and the question that came up in my mind is, generally, and I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, we don't have the luxury to be a Google. And I would naturally think that for a Google to succeed, Yahoo needed to have existed. Yes. Right. And for us, for those founders that feel like, okay, I want to do it like the Google way. I want to focus on one thing. I don't care if you understand, because I know my journey. Sometimes potential partners, investors perceive you as proud. When they say, that's the first question, how much have you made? Every application, how much have you made? Such that if I say 0, because I am doing this, and they're like, no, go make money. I'm like, okay, if I go make money, then I won't be able to do this, and I will be mean. So my question is now, in the space where we do not have the luxury to be a Google, how do we bridge that gap? Because being a Google is actually the way to do it. So bridge is the way to do it.
Well, yes, please.
So let me start from the comment I had before conversation, which is that I think this picture of Google you have isn't even really a proper representation, in the sense that on the picture we can see the person's saved tabs. The Google so what you can see GT Bank and Co. It's actually cleaner than that and even more focused than it looks in this. Now to people saying we don't have the luxury of being a Google and things like that, there's a lot of truth to it. But I think that there's something called sequencing. One of the things we learned in 5 years, in our 4th year, it was die or leave. We were in debt. But the thing we learned that I hope is useful to other people is that there's something called sequencing, right? And that's why we talk about like Maslow's, the basic things. I don't think this is Google's first dashboard. Yeah. So you need to do what keeps you alive first. If you want investors to understand that you will build, is a lie. Nobody will understand it. So what can you do to make money first? If you don't want, go and get a job. It's okay. But if you're in startup, you will have to show numbers. So the question is, you have to show traction. And traction will not always be money. Sometimes traction will be information you've gathered. There are many things. So there's a lot of critical thinking that goes into it, as against just saying, oh, they don't understand that we haven't made money. It's just what you have to do. So Google probably had to do certain things at the beginning, and over time have now streamlined. For Construct, for example, when we started, we were trying to sell technology to construction players who will first look at you and just think you don't even have sense. Before you, like, I've been doing this before you were born, right? So what changed for us this year is when we realized that the first thing these people want is construction materials. So keep your platform down and give them materials. We started doing the entry into the platform by ourselves, but just giving them what they want. We made all our last year's revenue in 1 month this year, and have been on a good trajectory. So it comes back to, and you know, when somebody was saying, we don't have the luxury here, if you look at leadership and you want to solve a problem, you can't solve Google, America's problem. We are in Nigeria, and this is our problem. So that's the problem you solve in your own Nigerian way. That's what I think.
My name is Mustafa, Council Technology. So I think first and foremost, right, it's good having this kind of conversation, having this kind of gathering where people just speak their mind and say things that are bothering a lot of people, right? But at the same time, it's also an avenue for ideas to come up and for us to see how do we navigate this thing. So I hear you. Your points are very valid. I've also had those crazy conversations where people would say, why are you X, why are you Y? And I'm like, I don't have the resources, but I'm really pulling this and pulling that. But I'm going to tie it to our points on leadership and a couple of the features that came out about leaders. As a leader, you have to be super audacious, you have to be resilient, you have to push through. And the fundamental thing we all agreed at the beginning was there'll be hurdles and there'll be challenges. So the road is never smooth, right? So all these things we see are the hurdles. But it shouldn't be a thing that should deter us, right? It should be a thing that asks ourselves those questions of how exactly do we overcome this? I'll give you an example, right? When CAPS started, getting my first institutional bank to partner with me was easy peasy, right? Got to the CEO, CEO loved this, let's do this, boom. So we thought that would be super easy to get the second bank. But the second bank turned out to be very, very difficult. So I spent literally 18 months on a conversation that took me less than 3 months with someone else, right? And at some point last year, we went live. Within 24 hours, the compliance team came and took everything down. I kid you not. I'm like, what the hell? So we went back, a lot of back and forth, and this guy said the same thing, you need a license. I'm like, no way, I don't need a license. And that is where, looking for solutions, getting help, get lawyers, make a case. And I would constantly go look for the CEO, look for someone that would talk to the CEO of that institution. Anyway, like, you guys, sign this thing and you will do this thing, right? Regardless of how you want to fight this thing. So eventually, we got it. Right? Agreement signed in December. Oh, we are close to go. Hopefully, there'll be no issues anymore. Right? But my point is, these challenges will come up. Big investors asking you questions. And I think a way to just tell them off, right, is perhaps make your own money. Right? Like what John said. Make your own money. And sometimes your model might not make that easy. So it's working around. I mean, we have made tweaks to our model as well from the get-go, whereby, okay, fine, how else do we make more money to sustain our operations and do our things, right? And I kid you not, we're literally 3 years, and we funded our operations mainly by ourselves, right? So money can be made. It might not be through what you designed from the onset, but it's that question of how else do we stay alive? Right? And what I say to people is, the number one thing, stay alive. Stay alive as long as you can. Or everything will eventually fit into place. Don't just die. Right? So,
Thank you. Okay. We would wrap up shortly, but let's have the gentleman in white.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Ehimuan, founder of Entails. So I think from what we've all said, I think one of the major things we need to get from who we are actually comes from the underdog story in the aspect of identity and your vision, in the sense that there's an advantage when you don't have a lot of things in place, when you see it from the other side. So for instance, with all, so I think 5 years have been very crazy for our team because there's some vision, some milestone we just set that I'll just be like, who sent me on this? Because the whole team is like salary based, and there's the pressure of like, and I think pain and pressure is a very good thing because you now realize that when you're now working with other countries from different parts of the world, you find out that you're going to places where they cannot go. I don't want to call some countries, so let's say for China. I remember over 10 years back, everybody was laughing like, these guys are, I remember that their phone, like, so it's all about like, your long-term vision and consistency. And there are ways to balance things. I found out that in Nigeria, there's a big problem with team. And there are some people that are like your Bezos, there are some people around you that are like your Musk. There's a lot, and that statistic is very true about team. And with the span of 5 years working with a lot of companies, I've been able to see small enterprise grow after unicorn. I've seen the ones that look like we're not the one that we're going to be out there because they were ready to roll their sleeves, and those people are crazy. Like, you have to be that audacity to go where people cannot go. And if we're not having the resources in other places where you see people having the resources and you're doing what they are doing with low resources, then when you come to them, you're doing like 10,000 things and they're wondering like, well, how many things? It's just like Telegram just has 30 staff, 1 billion, you understand? So it's just understanding your environment, what you can work with, your vision, and so that's the basic.
Okay, thank you. Who has had a positive investor story?
Positive. By positive.
How do you mean positive?
Positive.
A situation where you felt you were able to get some understanding on the journey that you're on.
I
Gentleman in glasses.
Thank you. So, I think this is also a lesson for some of us. So, when our business, right, our venture was just an idea, we sold it out, we were able to get an investor. He was not an up to date, and that's why I don't even see him as an investor anymore. We see him as an integral part of us, right? Because of the mentoring and all that we also get, apart from him giving all that large chunk of money. And he tells us something. He said, this is the future. Now, one of those things that we also got from him at the time when it was very difficult trying to come into the ecosystem that was widely fragmented. He said, don't worry. I used to be the CTO of NTN in Nigeria. And when we came in, the federal government promised us that everything was ready. Then when we came in, we discovered that there was no infrastructure. And so we went back to raise money for infrastructure, and that is why NTN is what they are today. Now, that was we started with that fund and we're growing. And we got another institutional investor, also now invested almost $620,000. And of course, if I look back now, at times I ask myself, how do we even get those things? Because I was not the smartest, I was not bright, I was not, but I just found out these people believe in the idea and the prosperity of what we want to do. And of course, they also see the sincerity of myself and my team members that, no, these guys are very dedicated. And so we got that. But that is also not to say that the other ones don't exist.
Okay, that will be the last, and then we'll wrap this. We'll end where we started.
Okay. So I actually do have I have pretty few positive investor stories, but this one means a lot to me. So our first investor is Microsoft.
Microtraction.
Yeah. So they found us.
What's the business?
Oh, Cafe. It's a health tech platform. So when they found us through an article on Tech About, and at the time we weren't looking for investment, but they reached out and said, "Hey, we'd just like to learn more about you." And at the time, we went into that conversation. I wasn't looking at it as an investment opportunity, but eventually they decided to invest. And since then, they, like you said, right, they're not just an investor, that they're an integral part of your business. When they came to us and said, we're like your third co-founder, I was like, I don't believe that. I don't know what that looks like for y'all. But, when we raised our first pre-seed round, they did all of our intros. And 80% of those investors came in and invested in us. As we are raising on another round, they're also doing all our intros for us. Most of my other investors are kind of laid back, but they're very active. Every time I've had challenges, I would sit down on calls. They've seen me cry on the phone, on the video calls. They've seen me frustrated. They have connected me to partners that are very integral to our business today. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, just trying to come full circle is that, yeah, Google is very successful, but I bet they had table pounders, they had champions around them who were supporting them. And I think at the end of the day, we as entrepreneurs, we need to just find those people who believe in us and stick with them, and they stick with us, because that's really how we will grow. Yeah, there are going to be people who, like a Blockbuster, that tell you, no, you're crazy, but appreciate the ones who are still by your side today, who I call microtraction, my call brand, because they just keep pushing and advocating for us. And so that's what I just encourage everyone to do, is just find your tribe, find those people who are really going to push for you and advocate for you, because that is also what's going to make you the next people. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And let's keep conversations like this going. I'm in the ecosystem, so I know exactly what you guys are talking about. A few things to unpack. So the Google example, that is not necessarily, this is a good way of explaining the impact of a clear vision. It is not to say this is the only way to run your business. It's the way Google did it. It doesn't mean that's how you need to do it. And the truth is, before they got investment, there were some people that turned them down as well. Those people, some have even been public in their regrets to say, gosh, if we had known, we passed up a big opportunity, we would have been billionaires by now. So they did get some no's as well. They had to do their work and find people that believed in what they were doing and were able to stay with them. And yeah, there were the pressures now and then. Investors would be like, what's the model? We don't see a monetization model. What's the plan, right? So they had those conversations and those pressures, right? Now, I started with the story of Netflix. They didn't wait 4 years before they started monetizing, right? And the reason why Google waited 4 years wasn't because they just wanted to wait. It was important. That was the business they were building. They needed to build a search engine like none other. That was what the vision was, and it needed that time. Some businesses don't need that time. Some businesses can, within a year, you start to generate revenue while you build the other parts of the business, right? So with Netflix, you made a comment about construction, how they said, you people don't have sense. It sounds like what Blockbuster was saying to Netflix when they started, that you crash and burn. No one is going to listen to you. And clearly as well, so we're going to have some investors speak to you in the course of this. So make sure you raise all these questions with them. But also, when you look at investment conversations, and I'm sure you've heard some of this, there are a number of things investors are looking for. Of course, they're looking for commercially viable businesses to invest in. In fact, during the last cohort, we had Tijan, who runs Partech West Africa, speak to, and he went through actually the mind of an investor. He did the calculations for, the participants in the room to say, if I have a portfolio of 20, right? Usually maybe only 5 or less will do very well. And he showed them the numbers. Therefore, I'm looking for this type of business because I also have to feed back to my fund investors, right? So, but beyond that, they look very strongly at the founders. Who's the team behind this? Is there clarity around the business? You may be making money today, but it just doesn't seem sustainable. There isn't a very clear path. So there are many things that investors look at in deciding whether to invest. And it's for you, part of what this is looking at the tools that can help you in your own space. Ensure that, one, you have clarity around what you're building, where the value is, what it can become, and then you're equipped to communicate that in a way that translates. And that also you are connected, you are able to access the resources, the platforms that can help you actually put your case forward, right? And there's an ecosystem play here as well, There's always value in the ecosystem coming together to talk about what are the challenges. Maybe we need to educate. We're getting these pressures, right? And we need to educate these stakeholders. Maybe it's investors, maybe it's policymakers. One of the things we've done, has anyone heard of DICE? One of the things we've done is create this platform that brings stakeholders together, stakeholders in the tech and business ecosystem. So you have startups, business leaders, policymakers, multilateral organizations, investors in the same room, focused on a theme each time to just talk about those. So we've had ministers in the room, we've had, startups, etc. To just really talk about some of these ecosystem type challenges. The next one we're doing, and some of you would be, we always create some slots for participants in the cohort. So some of you will be, invited to that. The focus of the next one is scaling to new markets. What are some of those challenges around business growth, around, and you have all those people around the table. That's one example, but there are other platforms as well where some of these conversations can be had. But I think the important thing to note is that no one is saying that, follow this model, focus. If you don't need to, if you need to, then the first person you speak to may not appreciate it, right? But it's to keep at it. You would find an investor eventually that would see, especially if you've done your homework, you have a sound plan. In 3 years, this is what it's going to be. This is what we're building. This is why. It doesn't exist in this way. And we know there's a market for it. If you can make that case very strongly, then you will get the investors that can see beyond, right, and would stay with you on that journey. So, those are things to bear in mind. Everybody's journey is unique, and that's why part of this is you as a leader, maybe being able to make those right judgment calls, being able to leverage resources, being able to carve and navigate your own path to success. Does that answer? Does that resonate? And thank you. There was a comment about horses and donkeys, and someone was saying, exactly, if they're horses and donkeys, you can run away and say there's no market. Or, there's an interesting story, right? A shoe retailer sent 2 scouts to a new market that they were thinking about going into. To just research, what are the opportunities for our business in this market? The first scout came back and said, it's hopeless. They don't wear shoes. It's hopeless. There's nothing for us. They don't wear shoes. The second scout came and said, what an amazing opportunity. They don't have shoes. You see the difference? It's how you see opportunity. What do you see? Is it the challenge all the opportunity, because on the flip side of every challenge is opportunity. And yes, there are some investors that would see that, the fact that actually there are no shoes, you're making shoes, they don't wear shoes. Well, this is greenfield, right? Let's go there. Yeah, and so the conversation continues, but that's an important point to make. The fact that it's really about navigating the environment and being clear about your own story, right? And putting, all the tools and the best practices together in really communicating your story and getting that across. And that's one model. It's not the only model. So some of these examples, what they're speaking to are the fact that, a good vision should be clear, concise, and it provides direction. It helps us know that, this is our North Star, this is where we're going, which also helps us to focus. We know that this is in and this is out, right? These are some things that are aligned. There's a popular saying that if you don't know where you're going or where you want to go, it doesn't matter which path you take, right? And so, that clarity is really important in setting the direction. Understanding that you as the leader may not always be there at every table. There are times you need other members of the team to make a call. That clarity of vision will help them to, will be the filter that they'll use to decide, is this us, is this who we are, is this something that we should do, or maybe we should decline this? How should we navigate this opportunity? And also, a good vision should be aspirational, inspiring, and enduring. It should be something that actually, you're excited about. It's something that people can look up, people that are coming to work with you can feel inspired by that. This is what we're building. We're building the best payment engine for businesses in Africa. We're building a platform that just makes it easy for you to get blood wherever you are. Even with your mobile phone, you can get access to blood banks, etc. And in terms of, when a vision permeates the DNA of an organization, and, clarity and direction. Don't worry, this is the last Google slide you get. So some people are already thinking that, this madam, she was at Google. She won't let us hear words. It's going to be, don't worry, this is the last one. So Google started with the search engine, but they've also been very deliberate about following the opportunity, right? If it's to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible, that's your mission. Then, the world's information is not just through a search engine you can get access to that. YouTube is organizing creative information. Google Photos is organizing your photos and making it easy to access. Google Drive is organizing your documents. Google Maps is organizing traffic information and making it easily accessible. So this is a classic example of where the mission permeates the DNA of the organization. And you see that with Netflix as well, where it doesn't matter the channel, whether it's streaming, whether it's DVDs, etc. We're just providing entertainment. And we said it should be aspirational, inspiring, and enduring. These are some examples of brands, global brands that we tend to admire, right? That have done really well. So Apple's vision statement is to make the best products on earth and to leave the world better than we found it. Best products on earth, we know focus they place on product design, aesthetics, functionality. Amazon, customer centricity, wanting to make sure that you can find and discover anything. We also see that it started out as books, and they found opportunity in other things, but it's still, once they've built that engine to be able to sell books, that same engine can be used to sell apparels, clothes, cosmetics, whatever, right? And they're doing that. NVIDIA, this is a semiconductor manufacturing company. They weren't on the map until recently, but with the advent or with the rise in demand for AI software, AI semiconductor chips, They've really grown. They're now one of the top 10 most valuable companies in the world. I think they're valued at about $2 trillion. So that's, and their vision is about transforming how the world experiences computing, which is what we're experiencing with AI. A good vision should also be reflective of the company's values and should be value creating. So it's not about taking what sounds nice and just stamping it on the company. You know, if you see a company, you see their vision, and it's like, there's no correlation. I can't see this. So, for example, McDonald's. We know McDonald's is about fast food, it's about convenience, and probably not the healthiest food, right? If they now decide, oh, people value health, let's create a vision statement that is about health. It's not going to stick. It would be alien, even within the organization internally, it just wouldn't work. You know, so if they have a vision about, we provide, nourishing, healthy options, that's just not going to work. Who's familiar with Whole Foods? That's a company that focuses on actually giving you, healthy choices. So true to that, if you look at McDonald's vision, it's to make delicious, feel-good moments easy for everyone. We can buy that. You can sell us feel-good, but you can't sell us health and nutrition. We won't buy it. Well, you can try to make it sound good and say feel-good moments. That's fine. Those fast foods, there's the feel-good element to it. Whole Foods, on the other hand, can tell us that they're nourishing people and the planet, and we'll take it. So it needs to reflect the company's values and value creating. That's why, I would, question visions that say to be the number one. Number one, what does that mean? You can be number one because everybody else is doing crap. What is it? What is the value that you're putting out there? Be number one. So let's focus on value creation. And it's also a homing beacon and lighthouse because it permeates the organization, it influences the culture, and it's a signal to people whether they want to work with you or not. And I did a query on one of the generative AI platforms to say, what companies have the most job applications in the world? And these were the top 5 that came up. And these are, it's no surprise. Now, just to say very briefly that we've talked a lot about vision, and on the subject of purpose or mission, the purpose fuels the vision and answers the question, what is your why? Right? What are you about? What drives you? From a personal perspective, if you look at, those 3 circles, your strengths, what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and maybe a problem or a need that you're trying to solve, the intersection of that really speaks to that purpose or that mission. And we can often see vision as possibility. So a lot of us are familiar with Michelangelo, a popular artist. He made this quote, that the sculpture is already complete within the marble block before I start my work. It's already there. I just have to chisel away the superfluous material. And, you can liken that to your vision as an entrepreneur. You can see something. It probably doesn't exist yet. And there are all kinds of things in the way. Part of your job is to remove all those things in the way and bring out that vision, that entity that you're looking to create. Others may not see it. Others may just see the marble, right? The mere marble block. But you can see what's beyond that. And that's why it's important to actually also practice being able to communicate your vision. Because people don't necessarily always see it, right? Even investors do not necessarily always see it. But that part of the practice is being able to communicate that in a way that lands. People get it. It's compelling. And, what you see in challenge or opportunity, I mentioned that on the flip side of every challenge is opportunity. Infosys, who's familiar with the company Infosys? It's a company that started in India as a small startup, and it's now a global company. Now, when it started, in India, things were worse than the situation in Nigeria right now. They said it took them about 1 year to get a phone line. It took them 18 months to get a computer. And at one point, they had been at it. They had this vision of creating a high-quality, world-class software company out of India that would go global. That was their vision. But the macro conditions were not favorable. And at a certain board meeting, all the founders had decided they were going to exit. They thought, let's give this up. Now, the chairman of the board, one of the founders as well, a guy called Murthy, was so wedded to the vision that he told them, if you guys want to leave, it's okay, I'll buy you out. And from that conversation, they just got so enrolled in his own conviction that they decided to stay on. And they continued. A year after that, liberalization happened in India, and that represented an important turning point for Infosys. Now they have over 300,000 employees, almost 2,000 clients. The rest is history. They're very profitable. Their growth has been very strong. And one of the things that Murthy said was, leadership is about making what seems impossible possible. And I'm sure you can relate. There are many things you're doing right now with your startup where, because of the environment, the challenges, it just seems like you're going against the grain. You're trying to make what seems impossible possible. About changing the perception of what reality is. He mentioned back then that the reality in India when they started was dirt roads, very little infrastructure, poverty, disease, etc. Reality is what we make it. It is for us to change. And so, as you operate in a challenging environment, the invitation is be inspired by what you are working towards, what you are building. Be bold. Sometimes just making bold requests, taking a bold stand, and then take action. Whatever action is in front of you, to actually go for it. Just sharing some personal vision examples from some entrepreneurs. They're quite varied. So Steve Jobs changed the world through technology. That was his personal vision, which was infused into the company's vision. The founder of dailyworth.com, to use my gifts of intelligence, charisma, and serial optimism to cultivate the self-worth and net worth of women around the world. Oprah, to be a teacher and to be known for inspiring my students to be more than what they thought they could be. And you can see that thread in her talk shows. It's always about lifting people up, teaching lessons, inspiration. Elon Musk has had different ones. On the space mission, it's about making humans live on more than one planet, making Mars habitable for human beings. Richard Branson was dyslexic, by the way, and he's been about, to have fun in my journey through life and learn from my mistakes. And if you go, spend time just reading his story, etc., you see there's risk-taking, there's just venturing, there's having fun in the process. He doesn't take himself too seriously. You can see elements of that even in Virgin and how the group operates. Denise, to serve as a leader, live a balanced life, and apply ethical principles to make a significant difference. So different shapes and sizes. In your material, you have a complimentary copy of 30 Days of Excellence, which is the daily guide. It encapsulates a lot of the things that we'll be talking about through this leadership program. And it's just little digestible chunks that you can use on a daily basis. And when the 30 days, it's not dated, so after the 30 days, you can start again, go back to day one. There's a program around this. What I'm sharing are just elements of that program. This was run comprehensively for the director level all the way down at Google around the world, and to other organizations as well. And I would like to, before we're going to go do a breakout shortly. Before then, I wanted to actually just play this short video, which really encapsulates the insights from the book, 30 Days of Excellence, that you have. It's again that personal journey around self-leadership and excellence.
Who are you becoming? What are you committed to creating in your life? What future are you living into? To live the life you want, you need to define it. Only then can you create it the way you want. Every new day, every experience, every crisis is an opportunity to grow and possibly to recalibrate your life. Life gives us many opportunities to begin again. If things are currently not going the way you want, stop, step back, breathe. Take stock and think, what direction am I heading? What is my purpose? What is the vision for my life? What steps do I need to take today to get me back on track? You may be afraid you cannot make it, that you do not have the right skills, background, or connections to realize your vision. Feel the fear and forge ahead anyway, for life is a lesson in courage. To go after your dreams requires courage. To live your truth requires courage. You get to decide whether your dreams are valid or not, and whether you deserve a chance at fulfilling them. You get to decide whether you're going to be visible or invisible. Every situation either blesses you, teaches you, or crushes you. You decide. With the right attitude, you can turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Take responsibility today for making things happen, rather than waiting for things to happen to you. Embrace uncertainty. Enjoy the stretch. Get comfortable with operating outside your comfort zone. Say yes to life. Have a yes attitude. Explore possibilities. Take advantage of opportunities. Grab life with both hands. Decide, what are you going to create today? Everyone is called to be a leader, in your own life at the very minimum. No exception.
Hi, my name is Farah. I'm from 360. So in my group we had like 5 people, and I think one thing that stood out that we could all agree that we learned from the last session was clarity on the vision. Someone even said that she's been trying to like get a vision written for like 3 months, and came together, during these sessions. So like that was lovely. And we also talked about, not just understanding the vision personally, but also being able to share that with everyone on the team, so that it's not just something that you alone can aspire to, but everyone else can also like plan around and aspire back. So that's just what we talked about. And some other things like execution, and the rest of it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Someone else?
Group 5. Okay, so we had mobility, we had edtech, fintech, and WISTech. And it was also centered around clarity and being able to empower your team to understand that vision. And they should be able to carry it wherever they go. Because if you see a product from Elon Musk, you know that this is, you might see a table just, hanging in the air, just flying around. And then, oh wow, okay, this is Elon Musk. Or, if you see Apple products, where it's coming from. So anyone should be able to see this in
not just the product, but also the team.
Fantastic. I like that. Thank you so much. One more? It's women all the way.
My name is Tokwe Kyrie from Opera. We had a very interesting conversation, and one thing we all agreed on is the pain points, your personal story. We've all learned one or two things before we started this journey, and we want a better solution, and that's why we are here. We want something that is different from what is out there, or an improvement. So how do we do that? It's a very good one. We also think about clarity. Clarity too is also very important because we all keep learning every day. And I've learned so much this morning, and I'm still going to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Who was the person that said her vision became clear? Where is it? Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
You want to share? You don't have to.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hi everybody, my name is Ibi from Money Start, and we are empowering millennials and Gen Zs to build wealth.
But hang on, sorry. Is it, and this is just me thinking, right? By saying Gen Z, isn't that a bit limiting? I mean, this is just a very honest question.
Gen Z's around the world.
I know they're all around the world, but yeah, it's a big market, but it's still evolving, right?
I think it's important that some people decide to niche and cover their target audience, right? Because what she's identified is that this era are very up and coming. So she wants to capture them at a certain stage before they develop or they've grown or they've sent it out. My opinion. Yes,
Yeah.
but let her speak for herself.
Okay, go ahead.
More reaction.
Okay, thanks for that. So it's actually millennials and Gen Zs, and to be honest, I could go on and on about why I picked that target market. First of all, I've been testing it for a year. It works. Second of all, somebody has actually built what I want to build in the US. I'm building it for Africa, and I've seen that model work because I used to work at Paystack. I learned from Shola. He was like, literally, the opportunity investor, just like build what already works. If you have tested it, build it for Africa. And like I have seen that it has worked. I have tested it already in this market, and I think it is so important, like you said, focus. Who am I talking to? I feel like that helped me grow very, very fast, like literally from 0 to 12,000 in 6 months. Because I focused. Just like focus, and then you can expand it.
Awesome. Group 2.
What were you going to say?
I want representative from Group 2 to share their reflection.
Okay, before we do that, let me just good challenge. That's the essence of this. And I actually think I agree with you. I actually like it a lot. I think yes, it may seem narrow, it's focused. So let's also not confuse being able to cast the net wide for opportunity with a lack of being all things to all men, right? That's an important distinction. So I like the fact that, because if you're just thinking Gen Z millennials, there are probably certain types of products that will come to mind. Where they can expand, to your point, where they can expand is, well, Gen Z millennials are not limited to Nigeria. They're not limited to Africa, right? And also the products, right? You know, if you're just thinking about creating wealth, there are many different ways to create wealth. You know, it might not just be one thing. So those are areas where they can actually flex and try to cast the net wide, but through a very focused lens, speaking to an audience that they have some resonance with. So thanks for that question.
Sarah, just to say something.
Easy reaction to that. We want to move it to a reflection because of our time. So we're going to move it to reflection from Group 2. Group 2? What group? Reaction. We want to move beyond the reaction to reflection from our group. I'll be the judge of that. I'll have to allow also to react, but we need to move on because of our time. Okay. So we're going to do reflection for Group 2. From Group 2, guys. Anybody? Guys? Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Celebrator, let's do it.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Oluwatobi from Parkwell. All right, so from our group, we talked about as a leader, you have to be empathetic. Let's understand what your team is all about. And then also in place of self-leadership as well. So being on a management team, you need to be able to lead yourself so that your team will also follow through with that and those also going to help grow the company. Yeah, so I think that's what we talked about.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
I think we have group C. Yeah, group 1. Group C and group 1. Anybody from group 1 and 4? Okay, group 1.
Actually, group 6 hasn't.
Yeah, group 6 hasn't, yes. No.
Six hasn't.
I think you were the first person.
She raised her hand, but you didn't. So she had.
All right, group 6.
Yes, reflections. From your conversation.
Yes, so on the group 6 team, very interestingly, we kind of had same mind. That amazed me initially. Okay, so what really stood out for almost all of us from the session is the Google. Let me start with the Google story. That really blew our mind. How that just being able to define their vision, making it clear, concise, which actually gave them direction. Because I mean, having YouTube, when you click on that icon and then you have all of Google Calendar, Google this, so different kind of products, different kind of services, but everything aligned with that vision. So I also shared that before now, for me, I fall under the umbrella of those that have their vision and mission being like an academic, the way she put it, I can't remember. So just need, so it just has to be very beautiful on my website, and then when I need to fill in for applications, I put in, I mean, it wasn't personal. It wasn't, I'm not the only founder on the team. We are 3 of us, but we have one person that he knows what he's saying. So now I see whenever he's speaking, it looks like we're not seeing what this guy is saying. It looks like, I'm like, okay, calm down. We are in Nigeria. Let's just, no. You make it big so that when the opportunity comes, you can spread. And I think I have gotten it right today. So, and Kemi also shared that though she started off as a marketing company, but she has seen that aside being in marketing and offering marketing services, she has to keep her vision open. Something we all agree on is keeping your vision open. There should be, we should be flexible enough to expand it or rather change it depending on how the text takes. Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, I think we have group 4. Reflection from group 4. Anybody from group 4?
The ones that wanted extra sheets.
Yes, extra sheet. Yes. You're in group 4. I remember.
All right. Thank you, everyone. My name is John from Rion. So in our group, we spoke about a bunch of things, but I want to lead with what one of the group members said. He said, always lead with vision, right? Don't ever lead with vision, right? Don't ever walk into any presentation without leading with your vision or any meeting or anything like that. So it's, to him, it's very important, right? Okay, so other things that we mentioned were around adaptability, flexibility, and your vision being able to reflect your personal values, right? For the case of some of the persons who talked about, the vision was able to reflect something that is deep, something that you strongly believe in, right? So, and for me personally, clarity was the key, right? It has to be clear, right? It has to make sense. It has to be easy to understand for everyone, right? So, that's it for me. Thank you.
I know you all want to react to the other conversation, but we have to move it because we want to. You understand that? Thank you.
Thank you. To be honest, I'm also curious about the reactions, but I'm going to stick to time. So, and I'm sure we'll have other opportunities. Okay, so we're going to shift gears now and move into the next bucket, which is focused on self-leadership. If you remember, this is the framework that we're working with. And self-leadership, it's very much around, mobilizing yourself, as I said, from where you are to where you desire to be. Captaincy is part of that, which is around creating a plan, getting the resources, and a lot of the things that we're going to be talking in the course of this 12 weeks will really speak to that. So where I would want to focus on this afternoon is what people don't often talk about, and that is the introspection. Again, from the perspective of you personally as a leader. Now, we've said already that, you can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. So a few interesting quotes here. You wouldn't be a leader worth following if you don't lead yourself well. And also, the part of self-leadership that we're zooming into is about, self-awareness, tolerance, not letting your own natural tendencies limit your potential, not letting yourself get in your way. Because the reality is, sometimes we have thoughts that are running the show that we're not present to. And we can't take it for granted, this idea of self-awareness, I found this, I don't know the author, it was listed as anonymous, but I think it's interesting. She said, I am three persons. The person I think I am, the person you think I am, and the person I really am. It may sound strange, but I think there's a lot of truth there. Sometimes even we don't know ourselves very well. You only know the version of me that I'm presenting to you. You don't know what's going on in my little head, right? And, both may actually be different from the reality of who I am. And so when we talk about introspection, we're talking about, looking inwards to examine your thoughts, your emotions, your belief system, your biases, and your judgments, right? It's a very important path to self-awareness. And if we talk about your belief system, so we all have this constant conversation with ourselves, the mental chatter that goes on and on. Sometimes we're very skilled at beating ourselves up with that mental chatter. Say to yourself things like, see what your mates are doing. Look at that other founder. When he gets up and speaks, people listen. For you can't even put two words together. That person has a godfather. I don't. So how am I going to raise funds? Who's going to listen to me? It's not my type that gets far. And so on and so forth. On and on it goes. I'm sure each and every one of you can give me an example of, and we call these limiting beliefs, stories that you've told yourself. However, there are also thought patterns that lift us up and encourage us. Like, I don't know it now, but I can learn. I just need to, I need to commit to this and stay at it. I'll get results. I can find someone to support me, and so on and so forth. Now, the distinction I will make is, let's not confuse this with just random positive thinking, where you're just saying things to yourself that you don't believe, that are not grounded. That's not what we're talking about. So I'm not saying, you have, your startup is about to go bankrupt, and then you're telling yourself, we have money, our cash flow is great. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about separating fact from story. This is a very practical course. We're practical people. So it's not about just trying to say things to feel good. No. The reality is there's fact. And then there's what you make it mean, which is your story about the fact. The invitation is to recognize and separate the two and question your story. Not question the fact. The fact is the fact. If you don't have money, you don't have money. But what do you make that mean? What's the story? Is it limiting you? So for example, maybe you're not a good speaker. That could be a fact. Don't deceive yourself. That's, maybe you're not a good speaker. That's the fact. Your story about the fact will be, therefore, I can never present my business, or I can never get people to listen to me, or I just can never. Yeah, maybe you're not a good speaker now, but perhaps you can learn. Perhaps you can practice, get people who are good at standing in front of an audience and delivering a great message. Perhaps you can stand in front of your mirror and practice. Record yourself. Perhaps if you focus on this thing, like this month, by the end of this month, I'm going to, and then push yourself, situations where you would normally be, nervous to show up in. You push yourself in those situations, stand up and speak, practice, and say, by the end of this month, I'm going to be a good speaker. There's a video, I'm not playing that now, but there's a video of Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt was chairman of Google. When he first started, his first speech was so bad. It was actually really, really bad. But he got coached and subsequently improved significantly. A lot of people that get up and speak very well, they didn't start out as great speakers. Some have actually done work on themselves, try to overcome the nerves by putting themselves in those situations. Maybe you start with low-risk situations where even if you are shaking, etc., the world does not end, right? Start with low-risk situations and then you work your way. That's just one example. The point here is separate fact from the story about the fact. Don't let the story limit you. Another story could be, I don't have a godfather, therefore I cannot succeed. Therefore, I wouldn't have the money to run my business. But guess what? There are many successful entrepreneurship stories that had nothing to do with help from a godfather. Some of them were not even as connected as you are. Those are the things that we're talking about. And when you look at different leaders that have been successful, they also had those constraints and in some cases limiting beliefs. So Starbucks is a global success at the moment, and the former CEO, Howard, he initially had this limiting belief that he was not capable of leading a large company because he came from a modest background. He had no formal business education. He didn't go to an Ivy League school and all of that, right? And that made him hesitant to take bold steps in his career. But he overcame this by focusing. He had vision, he had passion, right? And focusing on this and channeling his energies through that vision and passion to creating a unique coffee experience. We know a lot of us are familiar with Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Meta. I'm not sure if you still actually, I think she left. She's left, right? She's left. So, but she was for a long time COO of Meta. And interestingly, initially she had some limiting beliefs about, imposter syndrome. Feeling that she didn't deserve her success and fearing that she would be exposed as a fraud. Who has experienced imposter syndrome before? It's okay to put your hand up. We're many. You're in good company. There are many people that have. It's not an uncommon thing at some point in time. And that made her doubt her decisions and capabilities. But she overcame it by seeking mentorship and focusing on her achievements. Maybe there are some things that you struggle with. Maybe the conversation we had earlier about investment. You're not sure. Can I get investors to listen to me? How do I make them see the journey? How do I, sometimes mentorship can be if you speak to some founders that have done well, they've actually benefited a lot from mentors, people that they know they can trust, that will tell them the truth, that they go to, that help them to recognize their own capabilities. Sometimes we undersell ourselves to ourselves, right? We downplay our accomplishments. And sometimes it takes somebody else holding the mirror for you to be able to see that, actually, yeah, I can do this. I've done well so far. I have what it takes. I can make it happen. Richard Branson, I mentioned that he was dyslexic. That's a learning disability. And, he thought it would prevent him from being successful in business, which made him initially insecure about his ability to manage a business, even though he had a very strong entrepreneurial spirit right from when he was a kid. He sold things, he just had that drive. He was able to make money, And so he overcame this by leveraging his strengths in creativity. He's very unconventional. I talked about, you heard his vision about, fun and making mistakes. So he doesn't have issues about making mistakes. So risk-taking and creativity, those are strengths that he leaned into that served him. Oprah, she's shared about the struggles she had in her childhood because she had, there was child abuse and she came from a poor background. And so she struggled with feelings of unworthiness. She shared some of this in the course of her, talk show, learning from other people. Those feelings initially made her doubt her potential, but she's been very rigorous in focusing on self-improvement and using her platform to inspire others. Anyone who follows the Oprah Winfrey Show, who used to follow it, doesn't exist anymore, would have seen that thread in her work. So those are just some examples to show that these people that we would count as strong leaders, strong entrepreneurs, they had their own doubts as well, right? And so this is just an interesting pattern about the story you tell yourself, I don't deserve to be here. Well, people that put me here, maybe I should trust their judgment if I don't trust mine, or maybe I should realize that I'm here because I earned it. Now, imposter syndrome we mentioned, which a lot of people struggle with at some point in time, where you just feel as if, even though you've accomplished things, you kind of think, yeah, I still don't feel like I deserve this. I'm fortunate. Maybe at some point I'll be asked a question and people will just realize that I don't really have the answer, so I don't know what I'm doing. So, there are some things to just really think about. One is acknowledging your feelings. So not just trying to deny them or push them aside, to just acknowledge that, okay, I'm feeling this way. To remember and recognize and celebrate your achievements. Each and every one of you, you've come a long way. You're not part of the bottom pile. That you're where you are right now, you are not part of the bottom pile. You've accomplished a lot to be where you are, right? Feedback is helpful, especially feedback from people that you trust would be honest with you. Not people who would be vicious and try to bring you down, right? But people who are not people that will tell you what you want to hear, but people that would be honest and constructive. Recognize your negative stories, the limiting beliefs, and challenge them. Set realistic goals. Don't set yourself up for failure. You can't go from 0 to hero overnight. Set realistic goals. So when we're doing our business planning, so sometimes the challenges we have with investors is because during the first time you pitch to the investor, you were so eager to impress that you were probably a little bit too optimistic about the numbers, right? The projections, the reality, and all of that. So you sold them some amazing growth stories. And then they invest. The next time you have an update to them, they're asking you, yeah, where's the money? Where are the... Because that's what you sold to them. And then at that point, you may be like, they don't understand. They don't know we have to spend time to do this, like that. But you sold an aggressive growth story. That's what they bought. That's what they invested in. So setting realistic goals, having conversations where necessary, pair learning, speaking to others can actually just help you, especially others in similar situations, other founders, for example. Learning is a continuous thing, so constant self-development. There are different tools now, and we'll get into them later. So just make sure that you're constantly developing yourself, and depending on what it is and how serious it is, sometimes professional help can be something to consider. So I'd like to do another breakout now. What time is it now? 12:26. Okay, so we'll do this along with the lunch break, because lunch break should be at 12:30, right? So welcome back. Who would like to share? Yes.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. So I think we had a deliberation. And, we came to first one conclusion that this is more of personal things, but it has a way of reflecting on how we build our business.
Yep.
And that. So first, and I chose myself as an example because I reflected virtually all of this. So in the area of godfather and sponsor, I try to do it to be kind. The reason being that I have been there. If they know people, I know people, right? To be kind. And but it has never done that much, right? For me. I also tell people, we're in the real world. But if we go to Harvard or we go to Northern Business, they tell us your network, right, is your net worth. And I say most times it's not really true. Most times it's not true. And why it's not true is my perception about people that are very wealthy is when they are rich, they like you when you are not yet there. You're promising because you are smart people. Rich people don't really think of kindness, but they have smart people around them, and that's what they pay people for. That's what they pay us for, right? Smart people that okay, I'm paying you to take. And so when you have this idea and you bring it to them, you will see if you've done it, because I have done it separately. They will sit down. They will bring their son to sit down. Perhaps they will bring their daughter to sit down, one of their business managers, and they will they are really tapping into your head. And when you go, they will tell, Juliet, don't do that same thing he came to give us, and all that. So why do you want to relax and build your business, your venture around Godfather, who will probably not be there tomorrow? So I think you can be a Godfather yourself. Just start small. Huh? So every step. I'm saying that, see, hold on. I've been there, and I keep saying this. Then it's complicated. I can never get it. I very resonate with this very second one. So there was a time then we're building our business around government when we first started. And we have partnership with them, signed agreement and all that. But it's one thing for government, or let's say the governor to say, we love this idea, we want to promote this. That is the governor's vision. But if the lieutenants who are working for the governor, the MDs of these CDAs, if their own vision is to Yaba and the governor's own is to here, it can never align. So we'll go to the agency and they will take us up, they will take us down, and because they also have their own interests. So one day, this company won't have been better, and we've started work. So one day, I went back to the office and I could see the staffs. The product manager of the like, it's as if Mr. Day is not bringing good story today. And they're like, have we all lost our job? And I said, no. Even though when I was not sure that even my own job was secure. I said, no, don't ever say that. I said, there's no barrier we cannot break. I said, that is the Loma in this room. We will continue and we'll get there. And you know what? We changed it. Today, Loma is itself that coming after us. So we're no longer even asking for it. So it's also that part that I know that, in fact, Mr. Lesho, who is my mentor that I spoke about, will say, one of the reasons why I continue to speak with you is that even when myself, I think the road is blocked, you have a way of passing around it. So that resilience spirit that this my colleague shared earlier will work very well there.
Fantastic. I think we'll pause there so that we get another team. But you guys can see how he personally smashes these transforms them into empowering beliefs. Thank you very much for that. We'll take one more. And I know Tibet is trying to get us out. Let's see who hasn't spoken. Please. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Silas. I'm a founder at SupplyVest, and I was in Group 1. We had a very lively discussion around the limiting beliefs. The Godfather was a hot topic there. And the consensus was you have to, as a leader, be in the driver's seat. If I mean, of course, you could have a godfather that could open a door. It's about the results you want to achieve. If it doesn't go through this person, it will go through someone else. This person says he can't deliver, find another way, right? So it shouldn't limit you one way or the other. It's complicated, I can never get it. And someone said that you find out how to solve the problem at the point it arrives. There's always a way. And that's why you have team members. If the solution is not in you personally, you've hopefully brought right people on the team that can create the solution. So it's about synergy of the team going forward. I've never done it before, so I can't get it done. Quite similar to one. You're not alone, you're working as a team. Together we are stronger. I never have the time to get this done. Brilliant suggestion by my colleague Joseph. It says use a to-do list, use a calendar. Put things on your calendar, work with your calendar. Don't avoid those distractions and you'll be amazed how much you can get done. And each of them, rock stars in my team, just smashed them back to back. I'll save you the time and yield the mic back.
I'm going to just one more person for 30 seconds. Yes.
Okay, so we just came up with counter beliefs. So for one, we came up with I can achieve success by leveraging the resources around me. For number two, I can get it by breaking it down into smaller bits.
Perfect.
For I've never done it before, just do it.
That's always the first time.
Yes. For number four, make it a priority and start small. For number five, I'm going to be the best at it. For number six, that is no more borders to communicate. My opinions are valid, and we couldn't finish it. That's all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everyone that has shared. Those were amazing insights. And thanks for the engaged conversation and participation. I think it's been an engaged morning. I hope it's been that way for you. And I hope it's been a worthwhile morning so far. At this point of clock, as somebody says, we're ready for lunch? Okay.
Thank you so much. Let's celebrate Dr. Juliet. 2 hours plus of intense learning.